Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gohmert, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I know it's been a long day for all of us, but I appreciate your patience because this is important. And having spent the weekend down on the border, McAllen, Mission, all along the border, along the Rio Grande, on public dirt, gravel roads, down miles from a hardtop road, seeing dozens of people being processed out in the public area on dirt roads in the middle of the night, I got a better sense of this. The issue of a free pass came up in a hearing in which Pete King from New York was asking Secretary Johnson, and Pete King said, but if I were a parent in Guatemala, wouldn't I see that as being a free pass? I mean, a child, a 5-year-old getting an order to show up in immigration court, are you going to actually deport that child? To me, that's a free pass from their perspective. Secretary Johnson said, Congressman, I don't see it as a free pass, particularly given the danger of migrating over 1,000 miles through Mexico into the United States, especially now in the months of July and August that we're facing. A lot of these kids stow away on top of freight trains, exceedingly dangerous. And so he's saying because of the danger to get here, it's not considered by Homeland Security as a free pass. But as to the child, once they enter the United States, it's a free pass. And what is occurring by this administration luring these children into America by the promise of a free pass once they get here, there are children that are suffering and being hurt, being lured here to their detriment. Now, if they get here successfully, that's a different story. But having looked at hundreds and hundreds of people lying on a concrete floor this weekend in McAllen, Texas, in the Sally Port, because there's nowhere else to put them, and I ask about, well, I hear there's 18 cases of scabies here. Where are they? Oh, you see the little red crime scene tape over here? That's the best we can do because Health and Human Services won't come pick up these people in a timely manner. So they're lying here on a concrete floor, and those 18 in that little area behind that red crime scene tape are our scabies cases. We're still looking for all the lice cases and the other cases, the flu cases. And I didn't get this from the federal people, but from Texas folks that just sent 2,000 doses of H1N1 vaccine to Lackland Air Force Base. They say there's a case of H1N1 flu at Lackland. Does anybody know for sure that that is not true? Or do you know that we definitely have at least one case of H1N1?
When we were there last Friday, they did confirm a single case of H1N1.
Right. And are you familiar with the incubation period? I understand it can be 1 to 7 days before it manifests itself.
I spoke to the doc about that, but I don't know the particulars.
And listen, I appreciate, Mr. Vitiel, your commendation of FEMA and these other federal agencies, but the fact is, in 2008, when the Democrat-controlled House and Senate passed a bill that made children the responsibility of Health and Human Services, which is also trying to take over all our health care now, so they seem to be kind of busy. But when that passed and was signed into law by President Bush, we really tied the hands of our Border Patrol and our ICE agents because as I was seeing this weekend, you've got hundreds of kids, and you got to wait on HHS to come get them.
Would the gentleman yield?
No, I wouldn't. My time's limited, and I would like that addressed. Let me ask it this way. If Border Patrol had the responsibility of the children, then you could move without having to wait for HHS, correct?
Well, there's a couple of different pieces of the government that have to do this. Right now, under the law, the responsibility is to move folks into HHS. Their resources are building with the help of the interagency, with the help of DOD and FEMA, et cetera.
Okay, well, my time's running out. Let me just indicate that of all these people that I watched in a public area in the dark of night being interviewed, they were all very honest, very candid. Not one of them said they were fleeing because of violence. They were saying, well, the mother for these two is in Miami, had been there for 4 years, has a good job there. So now that we know the children can come and not have to go home, we want to get them with their mother in Miami. And these three over here, their fathers are in North Carolina and have a good job. Now that we know they can stay, get a good education, we want to get them with their fathers in North Carolina, all of them there illegally. Folks, we have sent the message to the world that we're open to anybody that wants to come in. And I'm telling you, we are not doing our job as a Congress, and the federal government's not doing their job in protecting us
The gentleman has
from those
expired.
people that
I have
are
a
coming
unanimous
in.
consent request.
And the gentlewoman will state her unanimous consent
I would
request.
like to place into the record the Homeland Security Act of 2002 that was the act that transferred this responsibility to Health and Human Services during the Republican majority and signed into law by President Bush.
There may be a limitation on the number of pages that can be submitted into the record, but
There is,
If the
and we'll
pages
check.
work, I would caveat the request with that.
And I would ask unanimous consent to submit the bill that changed that act in 2008.